I'd like to welcome you to Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center. This is our Saturday Night Live inspirational talk and our prayer. We'll do a prayer this evening after the talk. So my name is Reverend Margaret Palagye. I am the founding minister of Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center, which is located in Collingswood, New Jersey. And we are really hoping to be opening up in April. So I'd invite you all to our fabulous new location in Collingswood. More about that as we get close to it. Right now, as we begin our talk, I'd like to direct you, when you get free time, to joyfulgathering.org. On there are all of our new classes, videos, a plethora of information for you to peruse and enjoy. And I believe next week we have a brand new website going up, thanks to Reverend Brenda Shuck and her dedication of creating this website. We're very excited. So Wednesday evenings, let me just point you to these three events. Wednesday evenings, we have a meditation about 20 minutes long, and then we have a group prayer. And you get prayed for. It's a fabulous hour to join with us at 7 o'clock. This information is on the website, and we would invite you. It's open to everyone. And we have two classes coming up. The first one is with Dana Smith, one of our fantastic practitioners. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. You might have heard of the book, Wallace Wattles, incredible book. And that's going to be March 5th. It's 4 weeks long. Check the website, and soon we're going to be able to have you not only join the class, but sign up right there for the class. We have another one that's beginning April 20th, and I will be teaching this probably with a fellow minister, Reverend Rita Biancasino. This will be April 20th, and I believe that's about 7 or 8 weeks long. More on that next week. So we have all these things going on while we're still virtual. Everything is on, that's all on Zoom, all those things. So please, I invite you to visit our website for more detailed directions and information. So tonight, the topic of our talk is roaring into your greatness. So we're looking at this theme of an idea of the circle of life. And that is our theme for the month. So the circle, the cycle, this thing called life, of which we are each and every one of us a part of, is an ongoing series of beginnings and endings, of openings and closings, of hellos and goodbyes, and yes, there's even death and birth. All of this is in the cycle of life. And as I stressed last week, there is something very important to know about this circle. And that really is, it is not static. It cannot be static. It does not loop back to itself. Rather, it is ever expanding, ever transcending, and ever growing upwards and outwards. This is life itself, always expanding itself. Or in the words of a founder of Science of Mind, religious science, Dr. Ernest Holmes, he wrote this in his book, The Science of Mind. The spiral of life is upward, eternal and progressive expansion of its law, and there are no breaks in its continuity. So here's a little recap of the story, that because we're basing this kind of loosely, very little, on The Lion King. So as a recap of the story from last week, because of some tragic events, our hero, the lion cub Simba, leaves his home and his family, forgetting that he is rightfully the king of Pride Rock. He wanders for quite a long time. He has some good events and some lasting events that took place, but they weren't fulfilling his life's purpose. We spoke of that last week. It took Rafiki, a wise old baboon, to remind him first of who he was and then of his greatness. So today, we are going to expand, right here tonight, we're going to expand on the idea of finding our place in this ever upward, ever progressive, ever expanding circle of life by exploring what it takes to move into, not only move, but roar into our greatness. And so we're not going to just walk into our greatness, no. We are going to roar into it. I thought roar was a pretty good word, adjective to use there because we're basing this on the Lion King. So for us, that word roar, and I love acronyms, R-O-A-R. We have symbols, and it's a symbology. We have something in that word that I want you to pay attention to here. So R, reach for your splendidity, resplendency. And O, open your observing eye. A, activate your awesomeness. With R, rejoice in your resiliency. So we're going to explain each one of those acronyms. So what the hell is what the heck is your resplendency mean? Okay, so it means your brilliance, your magnificence, your brightness, your radiance, and your splendor, all in that one word. So when I say reach for your resplendency, I mean reach for your brilliance, for your magnificence, for your brightness, your radiance, and reach for your splendor. Or said in another way, reach for your divine nature. Now, why would I say reach? Because it implies that I'm saying to go out of yourself. But what I'm really saying is reach inward. Reach inward. And we're not talking about reaching outward but rather, sometimes we must reach deeply within ourselves in order to find the real who we are and how great we are and our place in life. And what we are truly made of, really. What we are made of and what we're here for. We must reach inside ourselves to find our greatness. It's not out here. It's not out here. It's in here. I've heard it said, we are here to unfold a cosmic destiny, not just make little bubbles and waves, a cosmic destiny. We're not here to make just bubbles and waves, no. Every one of us is here for a more resplendent purpose. We are here to express God's love, be that divine light, and live God's truth, that God within us, that divinity within us. It wants to be expressed. It's why we're having this human experience. And so this internal reach implies the need to be willing to stretch beyond our comfort zone. And sometimes, most of the time, it takes great courage to make that stretch. It takes energy to expand and move into the unfamiliar. But this is our road to greatness. I must tell you that every time I have stretched, I have found something in me that I didn't even know I had. I found more and more of my resplendency. And that leads us into the second letter, O. Open our observing eye. It is very, very important that as you make this decision to reach out, that you open your observant eye. And here's our O. to see if there are any thoughts, feelings, or actions that are holding us back from stretching. Old limiting beliefs that no longer serve us, and they're holding us back from really touching the greatness that is within each and every one of us. Truly, absolutely, I believe that. So, in The Lion King, our hero Simba was held back by self-blame for the tragic death of his father. He lived with that shame from the moment that he left Pride Rock. He hung on to it, even as wise old Rafiki tried to remind him of who he was. He almost let it destroy him, until he ultimately chose to open his eyes and see what he was doing. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Maybe. One of the biggest things that keeps us from stretching is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of success, or just fear in general. Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote this: we are afraid of our greatness because we are so tied to littleness. We clutch the littleness anxiously and jealously, but so precariously. To our hearts, it is essential to see beyond the littleness, he writes, in expression as we ought to be. None of this littleness is what we truly are. None of us is as perfect in expression, he writes, as we ought to be. So the challenge to each of us is to be great enough to rise in love, in confidence, through compassion and understanding. And that's for ourselves mostly. That's for how often are we not compassionate with ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves. We will always feel some fear when we reach the edge of what we know, when we reach the outer limits of our experience. We are moving into a place that is not familiar and might feel frightening, but facing the fear and moving through it anyway is the only way to transformation. It's the only way to truly, absolutely, powerfully transform. The next time you feel like you can't do it, you don't have it in you to stretch into your greatness, just remember the facts about some very influential biblical figures. Noah had a drinking problem. Abraham was too old. Isaac was a daydreamer. Jacob was a liar. Leah was unattractive. Joseph was abused. Moses had a stuttering problem. Jeremiah and Timothy were too young. David was an adulterer and a murderer. Elijah was suicidal. Isaiah preached naked. Peter denied Jesus. The disciples fell asleep while they were praying. The Samaritan woman was divorced more than once. Paul was too religious, and for heaven's sake, Lazarus was dead. Think they had a few issues holding them back? No more excuses for not stretching. Open your observing eye while being gentle with yourself, and be willing to release whatever will keep you from stretching, so that you can then move on to A, activate your awareness. I love this as an affirmation. I am activating my awareness. I am activating my awareness. This is a great It's not just a phrase. For me, it's an affirmation. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. In The Lion King, this happened the moment Simba opened his eyes to his self-blame and shame and chose to return to Pride Rock and take his rightful place as king. I've heard it said that whenever we are willing to stretch, we might get butterflies. The trick is to teach the butterflies to fly in formation. Christian Larson, in his book, The Pathway of Roses, talks about what happens when you begin to activate your awesomeness. The interior you is created in the image and likeness of God. It is therefore evident that when you begin to live with the life and the power of the interior you, the expression of real greatness and real spirituality will begin. From that moment on, you will not be limited to the power of the personal self. Instead, you will fill the personal self with the divine power from on high, which is limitless, inexhaustible, and invincible. That was really great. I'd say that's pretty awesome. I'd say each and every one of us is pretty awesome. I'm making that statement. And that leads us into 4. R, rejoice in our resiliency. And that's a big one for all of last year and going into 2021. And so as you are reaching and observing and activating, there may be a time or two when things don't go exactly as you want them to. You think they should go a certain way, and they don't always happen. It doesn't always happen that way. But it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It only means that now is the time to rejoice in the fact that you are a resilient being. You are resilient. Able to persevere and stick to it. That takes a lot away from the beating up of ourselves, which some of us do, and that we are sometimes prone to do. Things don't always turn out exactly as we thought they would. And that is simply an opportunity to stand in our spiritual truth and know there are limitless possibilities available to us, and they are waiting for us to claim them. This is really true. Resiliency is a fantastic strength within us. Let me tell you, I've had many opportunities, let's put it that way, in the last year and a half to be resilient, as do most of you out there. There is no way you went through 2020 into 2021 without being resilient, without really going within and reflecting on who and what you are. You know, you're a beautiful child of the divine, and this is the time we have the opportunity to claim that good, to claim our greatness, our awesomeness. And I really rejoice in the fact that we are all so resilient. Let me give you an example of resiliency. There's a little story about a local dog show. Not exactly the kind of dog show that you might expect. There was one very unusual contest, and it was the dog jumping contest. Only 2 dogs remained. A feisty brown dog, full of bounce and keen to please his master, and his sleek black opponent, a dog that seemed full of poise and confidence. Each dog was given 3 attempts to jump this wall, and to land on a ledge from a standing position, not running, standing. At the first level, the brown dog jumped and struggled to pull himself to the top, but he missed and fell. He was given 3 chances now. And he was lovingly caught by his master and encouraged again to try once more. And he did and barely made it, and still he fell. On the last attempt, somehow he managed to claw his way to the top. Success, right? Then the black dog received his master's signal, and with one leap, he jumped right to the top of the ledge, easily. The contest continued. Each time the height was raised a little, and each time that little brown dog missed again and again, and always on that 3rd attempt, just made it to the ledge. The black dog jumped cleanly to the top, first time, every time. The crowd started to feel uncomfortable. It was obvious that the black dog would ultimately be the winner. Why didn't the judges just stop the contest right there and declare that black dog the winner? The level of the wall was raised several inches, and as before, that gutsy little brown dog missed and tried and missed and tried, and then somehow made it to that ledge. And it was now the black dog's turn. He jumped, and for the first time in the entire event, he didn't make it. He missed. He still had 2 more tries left. But the black dog refused to try again, no matter how hard his trainer, his owner, would coax him. Having missed once, the black dog simply gave up. And guess what? The brown dog won the contest. It seems as if the black dog already knew what exactly it could do. And it couldn't do any more than that. This is what it could do. And it developed little or no perseverance. While the little brown dog had not yet done exploring his own potential. So he was going to keep on being resilient, keep on coming back and trying. And I love this statement. We should all shoot for the moon. And even if we miss, it will be among the stars. Love that saying. So, there you have it, my friends. The formula, if you will, for roaring into your greatness. R, reach for your resplendency. O, open your observing eye. A, activate your awesomeness. And then R, rejoice in your resiliency. This is all that we can live from our divine nature, the greatness within. It will urge us forward. It always supports us. It always pulls us into that upward spiral of becoming, so that we can wake up to our own divinity and take our rightful place on the path of life unwinding, the ever upward circle of life. So make sure you are here for the rest of the Saturdays in the month. Well, we're going to relearn over and over that we are truly amazing, awesome, resilient, and beautiful beings who are learning to stretch just a little more and a little more. And in that stretching, we reveal to ourselves just a little bit more of our greatness. This is what we need to do. Be resilient and turn within and embrace that greatness. And it is so. Right now, I'm going to do a prayer.